I got 52 partnerships, out there right now. And, I think I'm involved in 18 active buy and builds. I think a good partnership, there's trust, there's accountability. You and I have never had a freaking contract between us, ever. You and I have done millions of dollars in business together. We've never had a contract. You think about your billionaire buddies, right? And my billionaire buddies, and I think about them and I
Zero
think
drama. People get in, and I think they look at the good side of business. They don't look at all the bad things that happen. And welcome to another episode of Can You Make Nine Figure, doing this as well. And today we're going to talk about bad business partnerships, doing deals with owners, nightmare scenarios, mistakes that you need to learn. Welcome, JT Fox here. Over 79 companies and brands in 55 countries. Adam, 2.46 billion in exit. Another 3+ billion coming soon. 58 company acquisition. The purpose of this show: learn how to do it yourself, scale fast, see if you can acquire companies, your first companies, or take your existing companies, get a bunch of companies underneath it, get it to a $4 million EBITDA or 10 million, exit for 8 or 9 figures, do it yourself, do it with us, learn how to do it, or you just kind of want to scale fast. And this year, that is the year of scaling fast with $9 trillion sitting in the sideline. You need to hurry up. Welcome, Adam. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Good to see you. Good to be back.
So we, on our last episode, we talked about, and by the way, all of you should go back from episode 1 to 10. You don't need to go back. Each one is good. But on the last one, we talked about how to negotiate with sort of sellers that have brokers versus non-brokers. People absolutely love that episode. And then, by the way, you and I announced that, again, we are going to be doing a 2-day only for $198. It just covers the hotel room. It covers the flights to everyone else. People at the last one came from all over the world. All day with you, all day with me, no BS information. Now, why are we doing this again? Now, we're doing one in Australia too, which is like 98% full in August of this year. And then we're doing
That's
another
already
one
full.
in May.
It's like it, and this is, we got a long way for before August gets.
And also too, in May, we're going to do another one on 3rd and 4th. And the link is in the comments for you guys should be able to do that. And I think the reason why is, we said last time, but we got so much deal flow in the last one. So many companies we're now partnering up with, and so many people that benefited. And so we figured it is cheaper for us to give 2 days of our time showing people how to do it. Some people do it themselves. Some people do it with us. Some people won't do anything. That's okay. But it's actually cheaper for us to do that than dump like hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of marketing. And then you're dealing with cold marketing. We get people in, we give them a main knowledge. They don't have to pay $40,000 for the same knowledge that people pay for, and it's only a quarter of as good. We want to be able to add value and ultimately do deals. And right now we're working on 4 deals from that very event. And then others, they're not ready. They just need a little fine tune. We'll be working with them, and then they'll be ready for us to partner, because the idea is to exit. The most amount of money you'll make to exit is on an 8 and 9 figure. Now let's talk about business partnerships. I launched my new book, Business is War. Adam's got 3 amazing books, including Empire Builder, his latest one. And there's a whole chapter dedicated to partner or not partner business divorces. And not only did I talk about some of the problems I've had, but I've also talked about many billionaires that I've had from that were on there, from Alec Gore, John Katsimias, Tommy Hilfiger, Howard Schultz from Starbucks. So many of the biggest names. You're also in that book, my friend, about bad business partnerships. And so let's talk about 2 partnerships of, you and I are partners. We do this together. Why does our partnership work? And what have you heard about other people, why it doesn't work as well? So Adam and I are coming over. We want to do roll-ups. This is everybody watching. What is the dynamic? Because, I always say the Beatles couldn't last together. So what makes you think that you can? And they had a lot of hits. So why does our partnership work? And why have you give us stories of other sort of nightmare situations, which I have a lot too.
Yeah. So JT, I think first of all, business is about people. It's about how people get along, how they interact. Can you build trust? And will people tell you what they're going to do and then do what they say? So there's a credibility factor that's there as well. I think what works for you and I, because we're different, we're very different people.
Well, explain to people what are you and what am I from your perspective, and I will tell you my perspective when it's my
Yeah,
turn.
so I'm a guy with a Fortune 500 pedigree who then professional stuffy business, private equity, buy and builds, big companies, a very formal world, and a it's different. You have always been an entrepreneur who has been very adventurous compared to me. I'm kind of the vanilla guy, doing the boring business buy and builds and roll ups, making a ton of money, but you're making a ton of money too. But you've been a lot more flamboyant. You've been a lot more out there. You're a public figure. I'm a private figure. I'm behind the curtain. You're in front of the curtain. I mean, that's our normal world. I think what makes us work is the fact that we respect each other's talents. So there's no question in my mind, you're a marketing genius, and your ability to command a stage and get people in a room of very high caliber, high quality. I mean, that's your wheelhouse. Anytime we've ever had dealings together, and we do millions in business together every year, it's like when we're doing business together, I respect your knowledge and I let you make the call in certain areas where you're the expert. You defer to my expertise, on the things where I'm the expert. And so I think it works well because there's a mutual respect of what talents we bring to the table, and it takes two. It takes two to succeed. And I think a good partnership, there's trust, there's accountability. You and I, something else. You want to know something crazy? You and I have never had a freaking contract between us ever.
I was just saying, we haven't had one argument in 3 years.
Yeah, not about money for sure.
No.
And it's like,
Well, what else? What else did we have an argument about? Did we have an
we
argument? I
haven't.
don't remember.
But
is it because
we haven't.
what's interesting too? In my book, I talked about how my best friend betrayed me.
Think about that, JT. Though you and I have done millions of dollars in business together, we've never had a contract. Now we're going to have contracts because when we're doing business with other people, and third parties, and investors, and what have you, it's like there's a lot of paperwork that has to happen.
You know why? I
think
JT
I think and I cut a deal, it's just done.
We both have a lot of money, and if it didn't work out, which is not the smartest thing, I wouldn't recommend you do this for anyone. But it'll be like, you know what? It is what it is. If you're going to screw me, like, like I know you're also kind of like non-confrontation. You'll be like, whatever, man. Just you want it, great. Next, move on to my next chapter, which is very interesting component. I think partly because there's no ego, and I think we have two very different skill sets. But interesting too is I think we're friends, but we're not really friends. Right. And just because I'm very busy, you're very busy, and then you're spending time with your family when you're done, and I'm traveling around the world.
I don't know about you, but I don't have friends. I have work friends. I'm busy, and I just don't. My wife and I joke about this all the time. We have family, and then there's people that I do business with, and we don't have time for friendships really because friendships require maintenance.
Well, not stupid. We're very busy. The point is we're very busy. Like, and I tell people this, like, for example, because we work a lot, right? And a lot of people demand our both times. When there's free time, it's allocated somewhere else, right? And if it was not allocated somewhere else, so let's say in your case, right? Let's say spending time with your family, all of a sudden I'm like, hey, your buddy goes, hey, let's go golfing, let's go hunting, right? Which, you work all the time, and then you're like, you go there, and then the family's like, hey, you worked all week and now you're gone hunting. And then it puts a strain on the marriage, right? Which eventually could put cracks into the business, and it's a domino effect. Now, if you're a 9-to-5 guy, right? What I mean? Like, if you're like, hey, let's go bowling.
I would, JT, I consider you a friend. It's like, if you call me, I'm going to answer, as long as I'm going to answer.
You do that with everybody though?
I don't.
Okay, good. I just want to know.
I don't,
I trust you.
It doesn't mean I won't get. It doesn't mean I won't get back to him. By the way,
yeah.
But
I trust you implicitly. Like I was just saying, because the whole book was full of. You should probably read that chapter. I know you haven't read it yet because you've been busy.
I did. I bought it.
Oh, you read that
first
chapter?
Morning it was out, and I wanted to see how you kind of framed my contribution there, and so I bought that sucker the first second it was out.
I know you bought it. Did you read it?
Yeah, I did. And I haven't read the whole book.
Yeah. No, there's a chapter on business and to partner or not to partner, right? And I think you are literally the first partner where, number one, I understand what your role is. Like sometimes when it says like, I'm not going to do that, like because of your success, I'd be like, okay, well, you don't need to, right? And that's why I came down the mountain, and you've seen this. I'm out traveling for the next month and a half. So, which is the first time last year, 247, I'm cutting it down to 100. But going around the world has also helped bring a lot of people. But I look at this, a couple of things, right? like, I know if this is a basketball, I pass you the ball, like you won't drop it, and you're going to do what you need to do. And I think like it's dependable. Like I know if Adam needs to be on a call, he's going to be there. I know if Adam needs to get there. I know if Adam goes to the event, he's going to deliver amazing people where I don't have to come save
Yeah.
and
Well,
kind of
but,
like,
but there's even a priority factor. And I do consider you a friend, and so like today, you asked me to be on a call this afternoon, so I'm going to be on it. I had to move other people to do your call.
well,
You know,
we are benefit. It is benefiting us.
yeah,
It's not like
yeah.
I ask you, so hey, I have a friend, you want to come on for
Well,
to
all
support.
calls benefit, me at some, all of us at some
Correct,
level. It's like,
correct. But
but
also too, like I am not, you know,
but let's talk about that though, because it's like, so what we're saying to people out there,
yeah,
without really getting into it yet, is we have a love fest, okay, but when we're talking about you doing a deal with somebody, you're partnering with a seller, so for me, when I'm evaluating a partnership or evaluating a company to buy, I'm going to be a partner with somebody, I'm doing a project together, what's most important to me starts with the personality, the integrity, the person. Again, it's like I could do deals with anybody, so an asshole, who I don't have, a warm and fuzzy with, that's not a person I want to do a business deal with, so it's like I've got the company to evaluate and I've got the person to evaluate. And either one that doesn't work for me is a deal killer. I got to like the company and I got to like the person. And if I don't like the person, deal killer. And this, let me just tell you, JT, I'm going to share a best practice here. When we're talking with people and we're negotiating, they put on their mask. It's like you're dating, and so you're getting their best behavior. But when you're negotiating contracts, somewhere in that first part of your deal and your relationship with a partner, the real person is going to peek out, and you're going to see that ass if they have that, in them. And it's like, I'm looking for that. I'm waiting for that. I did a deal last year, a founder, I helped them exit their business. I was their exit Sherpa. While we were negotiating the deal with the PE firm, there was a time where it's all love until something happened and I saw the ass. And I told my partner, the guy that I was helping, I'm like, did you see that? Did you get that? After, we recircled back. Oh yeah, I saw it. I'm like, brother, this deal could go south after it closes. Are you okay with that? I saw the ass. You got a good headline number on the deal, but part of this is a rollover and a continuation of working with this party. Are you going to be okay with that if it dies right there? Is the first part of this deal, you getting cashed out, enough for you to have this go bad? And he thought about it and he said, yes. Well, guess what, JT? 6 months after it closed, they divorced, in a messy divorce, and now there's litigation. But I saw it. I saw it when it was being negotiated. This guy's an ass. There's the ass. That's the real person. They just peeked out. That's who
and
your partner is.
no, too, but I've seen in partnerships where people will self-implode. So you guys will acquire a company, keep the 30% in, let's say, and you own 70%, and you kind of have them on for 2 or 3 years. And people like, you're like, hey, can you do this? Because all of a sudden, ego comes in. It's my business, and you're like, yeah, dude, you're making 500,000 EBITDA. Calm down. You know what I mean? Like it's nice, but it's so there's that ego to come in because, oh, I've been doing this for 20 years. My clients want this, so they'll sabotage the clients. They'll stop that everything and literally press the button and blow themselves up just for the sake out of ego. And I've seen that also in real estate.
Yeah.
When I did a lot of foreclosures back in the day, people are like, I'd rather lose it all than sell it to an investor and
And
make money.
you've called me a few times. You're on the other side of the world. We're doing different things. You call me, it's like, and you tell me about a partnership, and I'm like, JT, you already know the answer here. It's like, this isn't going to go well. This isn't ending well.
But there's
It's
a
like,
difference between,
cut your loss.
yeah, the thing, cutting the loss is the hard part because there's
I
the,
know
the
you
little
don't
like
like
micro
that.
hope, right? But there's that little micro hope
Yeah.
of like, well, what if it does? And chances
Yeah.
are it doesn't because we're just so either emotionally invested or financially invested. And
Yeah.
I think people, you and I both have different skill sets, and I think that's why it works. If we were both the same, it wouldn't work. Like, for example, when you and I start off a negotiation together, like let's say we're meeting someone brand new, you and I on the same call, at first does not work. And the reason why it doesn't work is you're established doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. And it's not that it's competing, it's almost too much too soon for people.
Yeah.
So we have a
Yeah.
style of like, hey, this is great for Adam, this is great for JT, and knowing who's going to take the shot. I think that's important too. I think also too, the fact that you don't need money and I don't need money, I think that makes a little bit like that makes a little bit of a difference, because I found that sometimes people with less money are the bigger pain in the ass because they're either trying to
Well,
prove
that's a
something.
really good point. You think about your billionaire buddies, right? And my billionaire buddies, and
Yeah,
I think about them, and
zero drama.
I think to myself, none of them need money, but they're still in the game. And so, for them, the personality, the relationship is everything. It's not about the money. And as you said, somebody with no pot to piss in seems to be more
Ugh.
argumentative about what little they've got versus people who have it and are just looking
You
for,
know why, Adam? They have a sense of
what people
entitlement.
can I work with?
They have a sense of entitlement. So let's say somebody goes in there. Like, I'm the type of person, I had a partner worth 250. I was completely broke in Chicago. Then I went to a partner 250 and 2 million. I brought the 250 with me, right? Even though he wasn't putting in money, I still gave him a cut. Then I went to a partner worth 20 million. I brought all those guys, the 250 and the 2 million guys with the 20 million. They're still getting cut and they're not putting in money, because my process is, if they're going to be left out, they're not going to tell anybody else, because if I go out there and I make a lot of money, they're going to feel resentful. If I introduce you to somebody else and I can't put any money, you guys go on and make tens of millions of dollars. I'm going to be like, I had the winning lottery and I lost it. So I figure, let them become my ambassadors. And then everybody brought me to the $400 million guy. And he looked at it, said, let me get this straight. So all of these people are getting paid. And if we do deals, they're going to get paid and they're putting in their money. Why would you do that? I said, and I remember this meeting, I was like 27 years old. I said, sir, without due respect, with all these people in this room, I'm not here. You wouldn't even take a look at me. He goes, yeah, you look like you're 14.
Boy, have I heard
But the
that.
point is,
Yeah.
he's like, you know what? And he called his banker, said, I give you a shot, $20 million, just like that, because I brought people along. And so my notion to me is like, I always saw myself like there's a jungle, and I look up, these people are more successful than me. They don't need me. Right.
Right.
And like, if I'm not involved, they're going to be pissed and maybe emotionally scarred, but financially, it's not going to change their life. My life is going to change. So I learned respect, and most of them were always older than me. And now there's this entitlement. We're like, we're equal. Well, we're not equal. Like, we're not.
Yeah.
Like, there's a jungle. You know what I mean?
Well,
And
and I think, for our people out there listening, when you think about these partnerships and what the skills are that you bring to the table, so many times the people are too greedy. If you need a partnership, you need a partner, you need their money, as an example. It's like, instead of being argumentative about how much you should keep, it should be more about how much are you going to give away so that you can get your deal done. So many people, it's like, man, they're arguing about fictitious potential that they don't have without the capital. If the partnership is the partners bringing in some capital, then it's like, it's more about, what can I give this person to make them say yes to me when there's 50 other people that are approaching them, in that manner. So, I'll just go back to, all business is about people. And your reputation matters. If you have a reputation of screwing people, you are not going far. I remember this from my Fortune 500 days. There was always that manager that was the ass, who would knife people in the back as they were climbing the corporate ladder. And the first time they slip, there isn't nobody to catch them, because how they got there. It's like, your reputation is worth more. I'd
wow.
rather lose money on a deal or walk away from a deal, than burn my core values or
Yeah.
betray the trust. And how many people have come to you, in your
It
career
happened
and
too, though.
said, and they're
I did
screwing
something.
somebody to come to
Oh,
you, and they're saying,
well,
look, I'll cut this guy out. It's like, boy, if you'll do
or
that
it
to
just kind
them,
of happened. There's someone they'd never really done an event. right? And, we did like a one-off thing, very separate than what we do. And then all of a sudden, I found out some of my clients went direct, and then they started, but never told me. Now, for me, I would never do that, right? So, for example, like you're the same way too. Like, hey, someone came, JT, what do you want me to do with that?
Yeah.
Or I won't do anything without JT. And same thing on my side, because I've had things where I then brought to you, and then you're also not bringing me things. But like if I find out like all of a sudden like one of my clients went around me and went to you directly, and you're doing business with them and you're doing a roll up, and I'm not involved, and you know that it's my client,
Yeah.
and I'm like, really? Like you're going to ruin a whole relationship over a deal, And so there's people that go in there and then they set up another event that's exactly like the one I did, but later. But I was like, why? Like, why?
Yeah.
And so, like, I'm
Well,
just like,
sure, they're being short-sighted. They're being short-sighted,
well,
so
but you know what? But
yeah.
this that normally it's people who don't have a lot. These people have a lot, and I don't understand. Like, I would never do that. I think people look at what you do and they think it's easy, and they look at what I do and think it's easy. It's hard. We've just made it look easy because we've done it so many times. And I think, you know, part of it too is people get in, and I think they look at the good side of business, right? They don't look at all the bad things that happen, and if it kind of happens, and when it happens. And also it takes only one time. Like you don't pay, you do something, you find that out,
Yep.
because I find out how people do
There's
something.
a ton of risk in life, in doing business. And, if we make things look easy, it's because we've been doing it for so long that there's been repetition. It's like, you know, Seth Curry doesn't walk on the court for the first time in his entire life and start sinking threes. But the guy shoots 5,000 of them, every day when he's practicing, and it's like, business takes reps. And if you don't have the experience, I can give you the knowledge, but you still don't have the experience. And so sometimes you need that partnership with a person who's been around, who's done it before, in order to just know that it's going to work. And you get a few reps, and then you can go off and do your own thing. So a business is about people. Opportunities to make
Do you
money
think
can
people
be
need to
created.
partner though? Do you think that someone's watching this, and let's say they do they need to partner with somebody that's never done it? You got two non people doing it. People are so quick to partner. Um,
Well, I think
sometimes.
usually it's money driven, right? It's usually it's money driven. If I don't need a partner, then I would do something without a partner. But usually they lack expertise, and then they probably need some help from a capital perspective. The capital stack isn't working by themselves, and so they need to partner up for those reasons. They want to share the risk, share the potential glory, and have a friend. Misery likes company. So if we don't know what we're doing, it's good to have people around that do. And so that leads to partnerships sometimes. For me, sometimes, I just do partnerships because, I'd rather do something with, bandwidth. I'll talk about, bandwidth. If I'm involved I think I had 52 K1s when my taxes were filed. It's like I got 52 partnerships, out there right now. And I think I'm involved in 18 active buy and builds, and it's like I don't have bandwidth. I need partnerships because I need other people around the table who have the bandwidth
Has
that
someone
can
ever
take.
screwed you?
Has someone ever screwed me? Yeah,
Or
I
you
gotta.
did something a little bit like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've had cheesy assholes out there who have have
You use an
screwed me
example
on a
of something.
minor,
Yeah,
on
but
minor
here's the thing
type
too. If
things.
someone screws you on something minor, it'll always lead to something
Well,
major.
that doesn't, yeah, I don't do business with those people. I mean, it's like, boy, I've had people who, are just not honoring, call it commitments or contracts, and when there's a gray area, instead of the tie goes to the runner and they just honor their agreement, the tie goes to themselves, and they just, well, I've got this technicality reason why I'm not going to, do something that you think I should have done. And as a result of that, I'm like, well, that's fine, but of course, I'm never going to do business with that person again. I've been screwed over little things, like, someone asked me to consult on a project, and I do, and I send a bill and nobody pays it. And I'm like, really? Is this how you're going to fucking treat me? And so, you know what? Ultimately, it's like I just write it off. but don't call me back looking for help. Don't call me back. And you know
Like, it's like
what?
people asking you for money and then
Yeah.
coming back and then asking for more money,
The,
but this time it'll be different.
the world is so small, JT. It's like I cannot tell you how many times, when you're working in certain industries, and and you specialize like in certain verticals, all of a sudden it'd be like somebody that screwed you 3 times ago is now, somehow connected to a different company that now needs you. And it's like, boy, chickens come home to roost in my world. So it's like, I may move on, but when someone then is at the table, I'll be like, you don't want to do business with this person. They'll screw you.
So
It's like,
how in closing, how do we make sure that the company we're acquiring, especially if they're retaining 30% or you're going to merge them, you're like maybe a cashless merger, hey, you're going to come under my brand. How do you make sure that that person is going to be aligned? And sometimes you'd be like, well, I just added 4 million in revenue, but that could be a nightmare situation as well. So how to make sure that people know that it's going to be a
well,
right fit?
and this goes both ways. If you're selling and going to stay in at 30% with now a 70% shareholder, people need to do diligence. People need to do due diligence on each other. And typically, if a PE firm is buying from a founder, there's going to be a background, check investigation. They're going to look and see, does this person have any priors? Have they ever been arrested? What have they? What's their background history going to be like? So that's, call it, a technical way to start looking into someone's background. But part of this is also just the interactions with people. You have to ask yourself, if I wasn't in a partnership with this person, would I like them? Would I like being around them? Because when you're getting into a partnership, you're probably going to be together for the next 5 years. And so, if you can't stand them while you're doing the deal, imagine having to work with them over a 5-year period. Or if there's tension because something didn't happen the way that you wanted it to, this person you didn't really like, well, now you really hate them. And so it's like you have to have an ability to read a personality, but we have to also do diligence. And if we're the minority, boy, we really need to think about, who am I partnering with that now has the majority control of my life or my project here. And so you need to do that diligence as well. And a mistake I see people make is the buyer will do diligence, on the person that's selling if they're staying in, but the person who's selling, if they're staying in, rarely ever does diligence on the buyer. And so it needs to be a two-way street here. We need to vet our partners at some level. If we spend time with people, we ask ourselves questions: do I like them? Do I not like them? What could I see them in a bad situation? How would they act? How I would act. I'm not combative. I would simply find the solution, because that's how I act. It's like, okay, something didn't happen right. How do we make this whole so that we can split, and part ways, in this relationship? And it's so we all have different ways of doing it, but we have to get good at reading kind of the telltales on how people act, early in a relationship. Maybe do some actual investigative background work on people, and go from there. Can I share a story about you?
Sure.
Remember when you first came, and then we had, like, this 6-month time period? It's like, I checked you out. I'm like, this guy's larger than life. I want to know who
We
this
had
person is. Yeah.
we had like that 2 times I went to your country club, sat down at your club twice, not once. I thought I closed out the first one, I had to come back again. I think I showed you, we pushed your book and made it, proved in front of you how quickly it became number one by adding value and didn't ask anything. But I knew when I interviewed during the pandemic, this is what I wanted to do. And I think at some point we should re-release that interview. I gotta look. I have it. I don't know where it is. I don't think I put it on my podcast. I think I just kept it on our platform. But I think we need to release the first time that you and I interviewed
Yeah.
each other. I
And
think it was
so in that gap, I checked you out. I did some background diligence on JT.
and
Who
you
is this
ghosted
guy?
me, and you
Yeah.
ghosted me, and you
And now
ghosted
we've done millions together, and I'm
me.
guessing in the next 10 years, it'll be a big
Millionaires.
number
They'll
when
be
when we
as
when we
well.
add it
Well,
all
first
up.
of
Because
all, if you want to scale fast, if you want to learn how to be a deal maker, or you want to take your companies, acquire other companies, acquire your first business, or merge these companies around, we're going to be in Australia, but also announcing now back in Dallas. Even though we did it, we said never did it again. But the truth be told is It's not to make money because it's only $198. We just want you to cover the cost of the hotel room. That's all. It's that simple, right? And the link is in there. Cover the cost, hotel, flights to have that as well. But the amount of deal flows and partnerships that came from the event 2 weeks ago, mind-boggling as well. We could have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in marketing and would not had what we had there. And we helped a lot of people. And we have about 20 or 30 companies on the radar, right? They're not quite yet ready to partner. They got to scale fast, which we showed them. And then I think they could be potential partners, or they could do it themselves as well. Link is there. Make sure you pick up Adam's book on Amazon. Go to Adam Coffee. My new book is all Business is War. You learn nothing from failure. You learn nothing from success, everything from failure. It's not only my stories of betrayals and all that stuff, but it's a playbook, and that whole chapter about partnership and the billionaires, what they said, what questions you should ask is fantastic as well. Hope to see you on the next one. Also, go past episodes. We've done like 13 or 14 of them as well. And make sure you comment, you like, subscribe, whether it's YouTube or Spotify, Apple. Doesn't cost any money. You want more of this? Show the love. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We'll see you on the next one. Adam, any final words?
No, just hey, it's time to be a doer, not a dreamer. I'll see you in Dallas. I'll see you in Sydney, wherever we're doing our little events, and I'll teach you everything you know to be successful. You can partner with us. You can do it yourself.
All right. We'll see you there. See you, everyone. Thanks for listening as usual.